Welcome to my first instructional video on AutoCAD basics. In this video, I'll tell you about how to set up your AutoCAD for initial, very basic, very simple engineering drawings in AutoCAD. Now, whenever you open your AutoCAD, you start your AutoCAD, this is what you see, and you need to change it to suit your need. Now, if you see on the top here, it is written drafting and annotation. We need to change this to AutoCAD Classic. Now once you have changed to AutoCAD Classic, the whole look and feel of the AutoCAD changes. Here you might not use this, so we just switch it off. We will not be using this, we'll switch it off. And if you see, we have a few very limited toolbars available to us. Again, some of which we will not be needing. For example, this toolbar is not required at the moment in the initial stages. Again, this is another toolbar that we will not be requiring. Few of these toolbars which are not required are, it is better to switch them off so that it increases your workspace. Now if you see on the left hand side, there are toolbars which are there to enable you to draw. You can draw a line, you can draw a construction line, you can draw a polyline, and you can draw a polygon, you can draw a rectangle, circle, and so on and so forth. And on the right hand side, this is a modification toolbar. This will allow you to modify, change whatever you have done. You know, the first thing is you can erase from here, you can copy from here, you can give a mirror command to mirror certain entities that you have, you can offset certain things, you can move certain elements or entities wherever you want them to be moved, you can rotate them, you can trim, you can extend, and you can break. There are so many things you can do with your entities that you have drawn, and this is where it is most helpful. Now this is again another toolbar that we feel that you will not be required, so we can switch it off. On top here are the layers toolbar. The layers toolbar is not basically required at the moment, but we just leave it on for the time being. And then you have this by layer toolbar. Now this is something which you may or you may not use depending upon how you would like to go about it. The first by layer command is for color control. You can change the color of the drawing, the lines that you draw. The second is the line type control, that you can change the thickness of the line or the type of line that you want to make. Rather, the type of line that you want to make, a dash line, a dotted line, a dash dot line, a continuous line. And the third is you can change the thickness of the line. You can write from say 0.05 millimeter to about 2 millimeter, 2.5 millimeter, maybe even more than that. Now you can change that. This is something that you will be needing. Now if you look at the bottom of the screen, here are certain icons which are there. Now you see that there's already a grid made on the screen where small squares are made, and then among those squares there are the further small squares are there. So this is called a grid. Now this grid normally helps you in making a drawing when you are not comfortable with the dimensions. You have a very free way of going about it. You don't have a constraint of dimensions. You can use these grids to decide upon the the length or the width of a certain entity that you want to draw. The first is snap mode for the grid. If you switch it on, it will turn into blue, and wherever you go, the line will snap onto the grid points. So we normally keep this off because we don't normally use grid, so we keep the grid also off. The third is the auto mode. Auto mode is something which is very useful, and we must normally keep it on because it helps us in drawing lines either horizontally, perfect horizontal line, or a perfect vertical line. But if you want to draw a line at an angle, it will not stop you from making a line at an angle. That is, if you are giving a angle command, then it will not stop you from making a angular line. Third is polar tracking. Polar tracking we will not be using initially. We will come to that in the later stages. And the next one is the object snap. The object snap is a very useful command. If you right click it and then you go to the settings, you will see that certain entities are already ticked. That is, if you want to click on the endpoint of a line, it is already ticked. If you want to click on the midpoint of a line, it is already ticked there. If you don't want, you can always unclick it. But you should keep it on. And then the center of a circle. No, you will not be using at the moment. Quadrant also you will not be using at the moment. But intersection of two lines you may require. So you keep it on. Insertion you will not be using at the moment. Perpendicular to a line, yes, you will be requiring. Tangent you may or you may not require. If you want, you can switch it on at any given time. And nearest is a very important thing, that when you go to a line, very near to a line, and you're not sure whether you have already touched that line or not, it comes in very handy and it snaps onto the nearest line point. So it is always good to have this on, and the symbol that comes when that is being used are already given in front of each command. Now, if it is endpoint, it will be a green square. If it is a midpoint, it will be a green triangle. If it is center, it will be a circle, a small green circle with a crosshair in between. If it is intersection, it will be green cross, which will be there on the screen. Similarly, all these are indicated with a green logo in front, that is there in front of it. So once you OK it, it will be set. Now if you want to keep the object snap on or off, you can press F3 or you can click directly here. Now when you click it off, it comes in the command line that O snap is off. That is the object snap is off. You switch it again and it will come on. Now the next is 3D object snap. Now we are not going to use 3D at the moment, so we will not talk about it. The next is object snap tracking. Now this is something which is used by advanced users and we will not be using it at the moment, so we'll keep it off. Now dynamic UCS again is something that initially we will not be using, so it is better that we keep it off. So all these other commands we will not be using, so let us keep them off. Okay, now once it is done, we need to set the display part. Now normally when you open the Autocad software, the screen comes as black screen. Now it is okay if you're drawing single color line, it will come as a black line, a white line, so it won't matter. But if you want to draw colored lines, then it becomes sort of a problem. So if you want to change this to some other color, just right click here, go to options, then click on display. There are so many options are there. Click on display, go to colors. Now here it is shown as on the right hand side as black. You can change it to some light color, maybe white or maybe light green or light blue, which is very soothing to your eyes. Any color that you would like to choose, you can select one of the colors and that can be the background color. Now I have chosen a very light soothing green, so I'll use it. I'll apply and close, and this is what I'll get. Now it may or may not be soothing to you, but if it is not, you can always switch on to some other color. Once it is set, then what you need to do is you need to go to format and set up the format for the drawing that you want to make. Now the first thing to set is the units. We are going to use decimal points, so decimal is definitely required. And now precision, we don't require that kind of a precision that it goes to the fourth place after a decimal point. So initially we will not be using any decimal point, so we will keep it as 0. And the units that we are going to use are millimeters, so we'll keep it as millimeter. But if you are going to use some other units, you are always free to select the units from here. But right now we are going to use millimeters. So once it is set, we press OK, and then that is set. Next to be done is to select the drawing limits. Now when you select the drawing limits, you go to the bottom left corner in the command line, and it shows that specify lower left hand corner as 00. You can choose any other thing as 10, 10 or 5, 5, but normally it is 0, 0. If it is 0, 0 you want to select, you press enter. Then it will ask for specify upper right hand corner. By default it shows 420, 297. Now this is the size of a A3 paper. A3 paper is 420 by 297 millimeters. And if you want to choose an A4 paper, it will be 210 by 297. So we are normally using this A3 size of a paper to draw. So we'll keep this as the default setting for the drawing limits, and we'll press enter.